Welcome to Collaborate, the podcast that's reshaping real estate success. Whether you're a new agent striving for your first big win or a seasoned producer ready to break into the top 1%, Collaborate is your gateway to elite strategies, global networks, and industry-changing insights. Each episode delivers actionable advice straight from the top 1% of real estate professionals worldwide. This is where you learn the tools, tactics, and high-level techniques you need to scale your business and unlock financial freedom. Don't just survive, thrive. I'm your host, Trevor, three-time Icon Award winner with over $100 million in sales volume as a solo agent. And if you haven't been invited to the show yet, get your numbers up because this is a space reserved for the elite. Welcome back to another impactful episode of Collaborate. This is the premier podcast for ambitious agents focused on scaling their business. Today's episode is one that I'm personally extremely excited about because today we're diving into the importance of mindset, personal growth it takes to achieve the financial growth you're looking for, and the strategies DK used to scale his business to extraordinary heights. Now, when I say DK, I'm referring to none other than Agent DK himself, founder of the Agent DK team. This is an agent who's been the top realtor within the Half Moon Bay, Ottawa area since 2013. He was among the top 1% his entire career at Royal LePage, and since switching to EXP has solidified not only himself, but its entire team as industry leaders. He's personally been awarded EXP's Icon Award year over year since joining, and his team has landed within the top 50 teams across the country. This is an agent you're going to want to pay attention to. Agent DK, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's bring some value to some people.
Appreciate it, buddy. If you don't mind, give our audience a highlight reel to your journey. What got you into real estate, and when did you realize you weren't just going to be another agent?
Good question. So I did retail for a long time, and my parents were separating when I was 21 years old. They put their house for sale, and a couple of agents came over to the house to interview for the job.
Interesting.
I was 20 at the time. Yep. And I thought I could do a better job. We were getting offers on the house, and I didn't feel like they were really negotiating in our best interest. I didn't feel like I think they were trying to convince my parents to take the deal because they were separating and they knew there was motivation.
Yep.
And I was giving guidance to the realtor that was handling the deal. Not in a cocky way. I just thought I could do a better job. So I got the bug there. And then fast forward, I moved to Toronto 6 years later for a retail job. And in retail, there's a glass ceiling. I was making $100,000. I was 26 years old, which is good money for a 26-year-old.
Yep.
So it was good, but I realized I was working pretty much 7 days a week. I hadn't had a Christmas in 14 years because retail, you make all your money November, December. So
for sure.
It was weird. I just didn't want to work in a retail environment anymore. I didn't want to grow older and think what I could have accomplished had I applied my skill set to something larger. So I thought of selling cars. I thought of insurance. But real estate was always something of interest to me ever since that situation that occurred with my family. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, interesting. It's funny. You're not the first one to say it. It's spoken to a lot of agents, and more than not, a lot of them have had, for lack of better terms, a shitty experience with a realtor in the past. And that's what almost jump-started their career.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were doing the best that they could. Now that I've been in the game for a while, I guess 12 years full time, I think they were probably trying to do the best that they could. But I just... there's different levels of every game, right? Whether it's sports, business, real estate, you've got some people that sell 200 homes a year and you've got some people that sell 10 homes a year. And there's no right or wrong answer, Trevor. So you're selling 5-10 homes a year and you're happy with that, then that's amazing and good for you. And I'm happy for you. But there's other people who do 1,000 deals because that's what they want. There's no right or wrong answer. And that's the beauty of this business. There's no limit. So you can there's no limit. You can do ridiculous amounts of business if that's what your life goals are and that's where you want your life to take you. And that really excites me. That's really cool.
Is the option of growth.
The option of growth, because I get I don't get complacent. I think it's important to be grateful, but never satisfied.
Yes.
So I'm never complacent. I'm always grateful. I love my life. I'm so grateful for everything that I have. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop because I know there's always another level. And it's not this. It's not the money. I'll give you an example. We were in Florida 2 weeks ago looking at homes because I want to buy a vacation property there.
Yep.
And the ones I really want are just out of the realm of what I thought I wanted to spend. So I don't have to spend that money. I can go and buy something simpler, but I'm I want to buy there.
Yeah.
So I started doing the math. Okay, it's just another 5 deals a month just to get me to where I can. What other job can do that? like let's say you work for the government. I'm in Ottawa, so a lot of government employees. So often you no matter what you do, you're not going to make more money. Whereas in this industry, if I put more input, I'll get more output
For
traditionally.
sure. For
And
sure.
I love that. That's so exciting to me. I really like that a lot.
I think it's exhilarating. So you've been a top performer since 2013, 2012. You got into the game 2012 and have basically been in and amongst the top since.
I get like, I don't know, my first year sucked. I made 60K. I was debating leaving the industry, going back because I was really cocky, I guess. I was doing really well in retail. So I assumed I would be automatically, my skill set was transferable.
Yep.
It wasn't. I could close. So I was really good at open houses because it's still people walk in, you've got like 5 seconds to hit it off with them and assess them.
Yep.
But I wasn't good at hunting. I wasn't good at like, because I was always in a retail environment where the store would advertise and bring in the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if somebody was a prick, screw you, next. Whereas I never had to deal with the rejection.
Yeah.
I had to deal with objections, but like, oh, I don't want to buy this sound system. Well, how about $30 a month? There's a Future Shop credit card, and it's like, okay, and you close them. It's not the same with a house. So I had to learn how to overcome objections, how to work with different personality styles, how to speak slower, how to slow it down. Sales skills, like professional sales skills, not retail sales skills, but professional sales skills. How to be, I was very transactional. So you can, in real estate, you can actually succeed in making a transaction, but fail in making a client. So you won't get a lot of repeat business, referrals. You won't get a lot of testimonials and 5-star reviews. You'll make money, but you'll churn and burn. And you'll have to have billboards because nobody likes you. So you have to keep the phone ringing.
Yep.
Whereas in my second year was like 100 and my third year was 350. So like I had quantum leaps after I got serious about coaching and training and mentorship.
Yeah.
And then it was quantum leap after quantum leap to the point where, dude, like we were ordering lock boxes like every week. We were ordering signs every week. It was like Johnny Depp in that movie, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
It was like exciting and scary. And like, it was to the point where I was growing so fast, I didn't want the service to suffer. So then I had to consider hiring, which I'd never done before. It's been pretty crazy, bro. So I don't know what you'd consider top producer status, but like third year, I was making like 350. And then I think my fifth year, I made $1 million. So that was pretty cool because that was unfathomable. Like you're coming from, my goal used to be to make 100 a year. And now I'm making 100 a month. You know, so like that's a crazy contrast from where I thought I'd be 20 years ago to now.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. Before real estate was diamond drilling in a one-man shack on the side of Hyder, Alaska. And so quite a contrast, but then got into the game, did 27 deals my first year, 47 my second year, and now consistently do like 60, 75, which is super happy. But there was a couple of years where your mindset has to shift a little bit. It has to go from product to experience almost. You are so honed in when you first get into it on the product that you're selling, and you want to make sure that you know the house has granite countertops and hardwood floors and this and that. You forget that the whole experience depends on how the buyer or the seller felt. And I think once you really hone in on the experience side of things rather than the product, then like you said, you're not so much transactional, you're more relational.
Yes. I had to learn how to listen. I thought sales was all about talking. It's got nothing to do with talking and everything. They say God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? You should listen twice as much as you speak. So I was very good at talking, gift of the gab. And that's the big misconception. I've always had people come up to me over the years because they saw me. They saw in their minds how quickly I made it. Meanwhile, I've been selling since I was 18 years old, hustling my ass. But in their eyes, holy shit, he just got into it. He's driving a nice car. If he could do it and he's not that bright, imagine what I could do. That's the comments I was getting, right? People thought here I am, never finished university. If I can be this, imagine what they could be. I'm like, that's an insult. Like, I took this seriously. I treat this like a craft. Trevor, I have spent over $1 million in sales training, coaching, mindset development, $1 million. Yeah. And that's the shit people don't see. They just see the final product. They don't see the work that goes into it, the rejection that it took to get there. And like you mentioned at the beginning, before we jumped on, the mindset that it requires, because it does need an insane. So listen, whether you're struggling or not doing well, or whether you're succeeding at a high level, it's difficult. And I know that's going to kind of come across like, what are you talking about? Like, success is hard. So is failing. They're both hard. And success is messy because on your way to becoming successful, quote, whatever that means for you, because money is only one metric of success. Yep. You might lose focus on your health. You might lose focus on your relationship with your spouse. Maybe you're not spending as much time with your kids. And then you start feeling guilty. So you've got money in the bank, but now you're fat, your marriage sucks, and your kids are like never seeing you. So what is success? So you got to go through this like roller coaster, and then you level off and you really say, what is important?
Did you go through the roller coaster?
Of course, 1,000%.
How did your roller coaster ride look?
I was really good at this, and I was proud that I was good at something, because for the, I guess, earlier parts of my life, like I was struggling to find out what I was good at. I knew I was good at making people laugh, but I couldn't monetize that. Like, I didn't think Saturday Night Live would hire a Greek guy with a big dick. So I kind of wanted to be a comedian, I'm not going to lie, when I was younger, but that took a back seat because my family needed me to support the family. Financially, it was very tough growing up. So I was always outgoing. I was never really shy.
Yeah.
I think that was from an early age, but I guess I was really proud that I was good at this and I was getting results. So initially it was a lot of ego, for sure. Like I loved the awards. I loved all the bullshit. Like I set vanity goals, like I'll buy a Rolex when I make my first million, like all this stuff that I think a lot of younger men do.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing my relationships weren't doing so well. And then one day I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, like I was bloated, overweight, wasn't really happy with the way I looked.
Yep.
And I'm like, this isn't right. I'm not doing this right. So I took a step back, I reassessed what was important to me, and made a strong commitment to take very good care of myself. I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I went through a massive physical transformation where I lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
In 90 days. That was 3 years ago. Kept it off, built a lot of muscle, not like your level, but like, very contrast from where I was. And I set boundaries, no more working weekends, so I could be with my kids more. Now my boys are 12 and 15, and I like spending more time with them. I'm home usually by 5, 6 o'clock. I used to get home at 11:30. So like, and what's crazy is ever since I set those boundaries and I set those expectations, my business and my income went up again. So it's not like I lost business or money because I started becoming, and that's what professionals do. Professionals say, I can meet you at 11, 1, and 3. What works better for you? Well, I can only meet you at 7. That's not going to work for me. This is my schedule. Can you make it work? No, then you're not my customer. And you have to be able to let go. But when you're younger, you're attached to the outcome because that's all you have is that deal. You need that deal. You're craving the deal. As you get older and you realize, okay, listen, I'm doing 200 deals a year. It's been 10 years. I'm not a flash in the pan. It's not a mistake, because you get like the imposter syndrome. But then on my 10th year, I was like, okay, I'm legit. Like, because I'm very hard on myself. But on my 10th year, I'm like, I'm going to do this no matter what. I think it's time that I set some boundaries and I set some expectations with my clients. And if you just tell them, hey, listen, I don't work Saturday, Sunday because I spend that time with my kids. They're like, okay, cool. I'm like, holy shit, that's all I had to do. I just had to tell them. You know what I'm saying?
I think properly setting expectations is like one of the biggest ones, not even just for business, but for personal too. If everybody has a clear idea of the expectations, then nobody can be off put by the scenario that they're handed.
Even my mom used to say to me, she'd call me all the time. I love my mom, but like she was a big distraction. I'm like, Ma, you got to stop calling me from 9 to noon. That's when I prospect. She's like, oh, you never told me. Get it? So like, things like that, you have to future pace yourself, your family, your loved ones, and your clients, and they will listen. And as long as you say, look, I'm working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 to find you a buyer for your home. Weekends, I need it for my family. Now, if I get an offer, I'm calling you. But I'm not going to meet somebody in a 3-piece suit on a weekend. That's my time with my family. Because at the end of the day, Trevor, my kids don't give a shit how many houses I sell or how many watches I have or how many cars I have. They just want to hang out with dad. They just want to watch Deadpool. They just want to play ping pong. They just want to hang out. They don't give a shit about and I guess that's a good thing, because they just want to hang out, man. And when I am hanging out with them, they want to, like, they used to say to me, Dad, are you going to be on your phone? They used to say, Dad, are you really going to be present? They're watching. So yeah, I'm blessed right now because I'm in control. Whereas before, I think the business was like, you're building, right? So I was working 7 days a week. Can you show me a house? Yeah, boom, I'd run.
Oh yeah.
Now it's just slowing it down. But in a long-winded answer to your question, yeah, my mindset took a beating. And I think that's normal because you're trying to see what your maximum output is. I don't care how good of a realtor you are. 100 to 130 deals a year is pretty much the maximum, unless you've got a building where you've got a shitload of condos that a builder gave you, or like a site where a builder gave you 50 listings. That's cheating. I'm talking real listings. There's only 200 and let's say 40 work days in a year if you take off Christmas, holidays, birthdays. Like, unless you're dying, I did it. The most I did was 136 sales. And the
Yeah.
year I did it, I almost died. Like I was fat. I was falling asleep on the road.
Yeah.
You don't have kids or a wife or a life at that point. I'm sorry. If you're doing more than that, I did it and it was very hard. Now I'm doing about 100 to 110 a year and I'm comfortable, like no weekends. It's still a lot of business, but I'm structured as hell. And don't forget, my systems now are far more fine tuned than they were 10 years ago. So, someone calls in, my admin is now pre-qualifying them. So it's not me. So that saves me time so I can negotiate deals. So it's just an evolution of what your path looks like.
Well, and that's a big one is systems, man. I'm in the same boat. I've got 3 girls, 7 just turned 11 and just turned 13. So high energy. They're all in sports. Then they're all awesome at sports, ballet, basketball, soccer, swimming, the whole show. But same deal. You asked me 2 years ago how many practices or how many soccer games I attended, and the answer was very minimal. But I did 85 homes that year, right? So production wise was awesome. And I felt like, the kingpin of the real estate world. But then I come home and nobody gives a shit. Nobody's patting me on the back or congratulating me for the 75, 85 homes that I sold. They all exactly like you said, they want to hang out. And so I thought for a long time that there was just no possible way that you could have work-life balance, being a high achiever, but that there's no way that you could be 85, 100 homes, 130 homes a year and still be a top performing dad and a top performing husband and a top performing guy at the house until I started introducing systems. Systems, if you've got the right systems in place, that's how you can be a high achiever in all of these different levels and all of these different ways, is because now I've got systems that allow me to saves me hours and hours of time. Just different ways that you can prioritize and systemize your day to where now I don't think I missed a volleyball practice all year. I've been there. I've been to all the track and fields. You know what I mean? I'm taking pictures and it counts, man. Those kids, it makes a huge difference.
Counts to me for sure. I think it depends on a lot of things, what your goals are, where you come from. I come from very humble beginnings, so I already have more than I dreamed I'd have. With that said, for example, my boys are in private school. It ain't cheap. When the pandemic hit, I found their education took a big hit. The teachers weren't showing up to their Zoom calls. It was a shit show.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife and I said, private school. She's like, we can't afford it. I'm like, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Like, we make a lot of money. Yes, we can. It's just, do we want to leave them money when we die, or do we want to invest in our kids now? I'd rather give them the education that they need now, and they can learn how to make their own money. I think that's more valuable than leaving a kid with a bunch of money when you pass. So people ask me, what do you invest in? My first answer is my kids. I think the stock market is like the 8th thing I invest in. It's like my kids, my mindset, my health, so like just a different way of thinking, I guess. But those are the kinds of investments that pay off in spades and that leave a legacy. The other kinds, the financial kind, are important, but they don't last. They're finite. An investment in your kids will last generations.
Well, that's just it. Wasted time is a lot worse than wasted money.
Yeah, you can always get more money. Always.
Exactly that. Here's a question. Was there a defining moment when you realized mindset was the key to breaking through the barriers in your career?
Yeah. I went to a Tony Robbins thing.
Nice.
Walk on Fire.
Yeah.
So I arrived we went with my mastermind group. We're like, let's do something outside of Mike Ferry that's like going to add to our mindset. And we're like, let's do this thing called, was it Date with Destiny? No, it was Unleash the Power Within, UPW.
Cool.
So we get there and Tony Robbins, this is like 8 years ago ish. And no, maybe more, bro, 9-10 years ago. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? It was so weird. And I had never experienced anything like it. And I was trying to be positive and be like, hey, just have an open mind. But there was a lot of people with real problems there. I'm talking like serious shit, like people that lost children or like alcoholics, people that were physically abused. Forget losing a deal. I'm talking real matter, like problems that matter. And then you've got a bunch of realtors. We came to like improve our mindset. So it was it gave a lot of perspective. Anyway, to make a long story short, when I did the exercise of are you familiar with UPW, what you do there?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So he makes you go into your subconscious mind and bring back a point in your life where you were told limiting beliefs, and then you reprogram your mind to insert positive messages, and then you reframe it, and then you go walk on fire, and then you can like elicit that feeling anytime you want with like your power word or whatever. Yeah. And again, it's a lot, but I'm taking it in. I'm trying to be. Anyway, at the end of I was skeptical because I'm Greek, and then a cultural thing. And then at the end, I just felt like I could fly. And all I can tell you is that there were so many limiting beliefs that were embedded within me that were self-imposed for the most part. Some of them were from external factors, but a lot of them were self-imposed.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize were holding me back so much. And when I came back from UPW, my income tripled. And it was only because I let go of so many limiting beliefs. And since that day, I've always had a pretty strong mindset.
Yeah.
But since that day, I'd say it's like ironclad. I'm not going to say to you I don't have bad days or bad moments. I don't really have bad days. I have bad experiences, but they don't last long. Like, I think they last like 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I just don't allow things to fester anymore because I have so much perspective. So that was the day when I really let go. Like, I felt like I was carrying a backpack with 1,000 bricks, and I let it go. And then all of a sudden I could fly, and anything was possible because it was a choice. And I just didn't know it was a choice. I thought my life was planned out. And it wasn't. It turns out that I was holding the pen, you know?
Oh, I think that's incredible. I think I want to touch on something you said too, is daily wins. I think everybody needs to have. Me personally, I win every day when I have 3 daily wins: a physical win, walking, running, lifting, swimming; a mental win, reading, writing, creating, learning; and a spiritual win, meditating, studying, affirmations, praying, whatever it is. But if I can nail those 3 things every single day, that's a win.
I would say I love that. There's a book that I read that had a big impact on me called The Miracle Morning, and it talks about similar, like what scribing and exercise and like writing your affirmations. So if anybody hasn't read that book out there that might be struggling with mindset, it's a really good book on creating a very positive morning routine, The Miracle Morning. I highly suggest it. They also have like The Miracle Morning for Realtors, The Miracle Morning for Parents. I read them all. I just got addicted. I went down the rabbit hole of like self-help books and I never came out.
Sure. Yeah. What does Agent DK's morning routine look like?
I'm up at 4 a.m. Monday to Friday, and I drink celery juice because it gets the metabolism going and it's anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
And then I do my affirmations and my gratitudes. I'm in the gym parking lot usually about 4:50 because they open at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm at the gym until about 7:30. So it's quite a long time. The first part is a lot of stretching. That's my computer, sorry. The first part's a lot of stretching and like mobility work because I drastically changed my body so quickly.
For sure.
A lot of joint pains and stuff like that. And I'm 44 years old. So like you don't want to go into your 50s with like arthritis and all that. I'm trying to limit it. So range of motion was affected because I put on way more muscle than I ever had. So my form wasn't perfect when I was working out. I had to learn form because I worked out hard. So I work out 6 days a week, and from nothing to 6 days is drastic. So your body's like, whoa, I got like tennis elbow and I got all this weird shit I never had before.
Yeah, for sure.
So because of that, my trainer has me doing a lot of mobility work and stretching. Then I work out and then I do sauna or hot tub or like whatever. I'm home. I typically try to see the kids before they go off to school, wish them well. If I can walk them to the bus, I will. If not, then I maybe just miss them. And then I have my shake. And I'm at the office by like 8:45, 9 o'clock. Talk to my in for about 10, 15 minutes. And then I prospect from 9 till noon, take a break, prospect again until 1. I have a standing desk. I'm here now. And I haven't sat in 9 years. I've never had a chair. I typically eat while I work. I won't call because I'm eating, but I'll do like paperwork, offers, stuff like that. And then I typically try to go on appointments at like 1, 3, and 5. I try to go on 3 listing appointments a day. In the fall, it doesn't usually happen that way because it's slower. So if I don't have an appointment in one of those time slots, I'm prospecting again, calling my database, calling my active leads, calling people to prep them for their whatever. There's always someone to call.
And so you lean pretty heavily into time blocking then, it looks like.
Yes. Yeah. When somebody calls the office, my assistant knows to try and book listing appointments for 11, 1, and 3. The latest I'll go 1 is 5, but it's got to be a highly qualified appointment. It's got to be like, they agree to sign the listing with me if I go. If it's like I'm not sure, then I really don't want to go at 5.
And what time does work end then for DK? You're up at 4, got your gym in, you're in the office by 8:45. What time are you saying no more phone calls?
I'm usually home by like 6:37. It depends, right? Like April, May, June, maybe it's 8 o'clock, maybe it's 7:30, but
the sun doesn't go down till late then.
Yeah, like, and I don't work Saturday, Sunday anymore. And I travel a lot, bro. Like this year, I can't even talk a lot. I went to Japan, Greece, Vegas several times. I don't know, Miami. Like I think we traveled 170 days this year. Because I travel so much, I don't mind putting an extra night here and there, especially if it's have like music lessons or something where I don't have to be there. So like
Yeah.
if it's a private thing, then I might as well work, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I tried getting my wife into real estate when I first got into it. And she did the unlicensed assistant thing for a while, but she's seen the hours that I was putting in and just the shit you got to eat sometimes. You know what I mean? The evenings and weekends and 12, 14, 16-hour days and the running out the door. And I haven't eaten anything since 7 a.m. And did not attract her. Anyways, she started her own company. She opened a charcuterie board, like a catering type business, and that blew up. It was awesome. She now caters all of my open houses. So win.
That's amazing, bro. Like, listen, whatever makes you happy. My wife was a teacher, and I said to her at one point, "Why don't you get your license?" And we did it for income splitting at the beginning,
Yep.
and then it became, "Hey, since you have your license, why don't you load a couple of listings or whatever?" And then it became, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you just work with me full time? Like,
Yeah.
I'm paying somebody anyway. Then we can travel together, vacations together." And she left teaching, and she's been working with me full time now, and it's great because she's also able to be a mom and take care of the boys, but she can work. Sometimes she comes in the office, but often she can work from home.
Yep.
And she understands. It's nice to be able to come home and not go through the whole, how was your day? Because they know how your day was because they were there. So you don't have to rehash how your day was for another hour. You can just spend it eating dinner and having time with the family. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, man. She's the same way. So her business is a home-based business too. So we're both in and amongst each other all the time. So she knows the clients that I have. She puts together a lot of the little gifts and everything when it comes to closing and completion and everything. She's very involved and it saves a lot of time at the end of the day, not having to recap your entire day.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool.
So you've been in the top 1% of the industry for most of your career, let's say. What are the most important, a couple anyways, what are some lessons that you've learned about achieving and maintaining that level of success?
I think that's a good question. I think that every customer, when you start doing volume, there's the misconception that if you do volume, the quality isn't good. And I disagree. I disagree. Like, I know a lot of very fancy restaurants that are very busy and they turn over their tables quite a bit. It doesn't mean they're not good anymore. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
Oh,
I know
totally.
a lot of fancy restaurants are like, look, you got a 2-hour time slot. We got to give the table away. It doesn't
Really good
mean
analogy.
Yeah, it just means they're busy. So a lot of non-busy agents will try to use that against a busy agent, say, well, they're too busy for you.
Yeah.
And that's true for a lot of realtors. But my goal was never to grow so quickly that the service would suffer. So I kept adding in, whether it was systems or staff, to ensure that the service didn't suffer. So what I would say is make sure as you're growing to ensure that no client feels like they're not important. I don't care if it's a rental. I don't care if it's a buy or $100,000 land, which I've sold, or like whatever, $1 million. They all matter. And to that person selling that $100,000 land or that $200,000 condo, that's all the money they have in the world. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to help them. So I would say be grateful for any opportunity. Some people say, I don't do rentals. You know how many rentals we do, bro? Over 100 a year.
I believe
and they become buyers and they know people that sell and buy and they need help too. So that's like saying, I like using restaurant analogies. That's like someone to your restaurant saying, hey, listen, can I only order apps and a glass of wine? What am I going to say? No, of course. You know what I mean? Like that it might be today and tomorrow you might book your staff party and spend $5,000 here. So like, that's just my philosophy. My dad was a chef and he always would say when he had his restaurant, when people would walk in, he always said, never turn them away. Because if you turn them away, they might not come back. They might go somewhere else, like the food better and never come back. So I guess that's the immigrant in me where I always made people feel important because they were important. I didn't look at it like $100,000 piece of land. I looked at it like, okay, that's $2,500. That's 5 car payments. Even when I sold retail, you're going to laugh, but like this is how old I am. I used to sell VCRs, DVD players, and I would sell the tapes. Dude, I would sell the tapes and the DVDs. And my other buddies that were there. They were like, what are you doing? That's like 80 cents. I'm like, no, that's shaving cream. Bro, that's a toothbrush. Like you're too good. There's people in the world that don't have that. I'm too good for that all of a sudden. So I think I'm very blessed that I came from humble beginnings because I know how hard it can be. And because we didn't have a lot growing up, I'm still grateful for any opportunity because I think we have a duty to service people. And if you have the ability to do so, and if I know that I'm going to do a good job and this person needs me, then I should facilitate that need. Like, for example, you hear a lot of people say, I'm a luxury realtor. Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't believe in that. And then there's no right or wrong. I don't want any hate mail here. You do what makes you happy. But me personally, DK, I will help you if you're, like I said, big or small, I'll help you. I don't care because you need my help, and I want to help you.
A story to highlight what you got to say there. When I was first getting into it, there's a little place called Charlotte Lake out where I live, and it's like it's a 2-hour drive. There's only about 13 properties around the lake. You're on well, you're on septic, where you're pulling off the lake. You're on solar panels. It's like there are properties that like not a lot of realtors really want to play with. There's not a high turnover rate, and so I got a phone call saying that I was like the third or fourth realtor that somebody had tried calling, and everybody else had basically just turned them down. And so I took the listing and we got it sold in, I think, 30 or 35 days. And that spurred another couple of listings along that lake because now I had been kind of established as a guy who deals with that area. And now fast forward 2.5 years, we've got a $5.5 million listing. It's 480 acres, comes with 3 houses and 4 lakeside cabins. And it's all because I started working in that area.
Bro, I love that. It's the accumulation effect. And a lot of people come up to people like me or you and say, what's one thing, right? What's one thing you can tell me?
Yeah.
And I laugh with that question all the time. And I know it comes from a good place, but it's not one thing. It's the accumulation of a lot of little things. So I would say how you do anything is how you do everything. It's not just a bumper sticker. It matters. So like, for example, I have a standing desk, right? That's worth maybe 20 deals a year. I prospect with a headset. I learned that when I have a headset, I can walk around. I have my hands free. This is probably 10, 15 deals a year. I have 4 monitors. I used to have 1. That's probably good for another 30 deals a year because I'm highly efficient because I have everything I need at my disposal. It's not one thing. It's not like take this pill and you'll do 100 deals. No, it's you grow and then you learn what your new normal is. You stabilize, you figure it out, and okay, boom, you're ready for the next level. And at some point, it's people. Like technology systems will get you so far, but then if you want to scale, do like 1,000 deals, you can't get there without people. You need more people, bodies. Yeah. So to answer your question, I would say make sure everybody feels important and valuable. And treat everybody with respect. And how you do anything is how you do everything. Like improve everything. Whether it's the pen you sign deals with, the car that you drive, you can't afford a better car, wash it, show up earlier than you normally do. There's lots of ways you can improve your business that don't cost any money. It's all about this.
And lots of people overthink it. It's the most successful people just figured out how to do the basics at scale. It's how to do the basics at scale. Exactly that. And so many people are thinking that there's the shiny object syndrome. You know what I mean? Where they're going to find this one shiny carrot that just breaks the doors open for their real estate career. And it's not that at all.
Trevor, business success is messy, man. Like,
yeah.
I probably screwed up more than anybody that I know, but that's why I'm where I am, because I wasn't afraid to screw up. I think that's my superpower is that, well, I'm funny. That's cool. But I think my second superpower is that I don't give a shit. So I don't want to get into it like too deep, but when I was 15, my sister almost died. She had a brain aneurysm. This is 30 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. And at that point, she lived, thank God, it was a miracle. But that gave me so much perspective at a young age about what a real bad day is. So I think you're blessed if you have struggles in your youth, because if you can make it through it, when you start to get into business, some people, so we're going through a big change in the Ottawa Real Estate Board where they changed our MLS system. Brother, you should see the Facebook groups. I'm only part of it to laugh. I don't join. It's negative. But I watch. This is ridiculous. And people are freaking out. One agent said she's taking 6 months off because this is too much stress for her. I see it I'm like, guys, for God's sake, it's a new MLS system. We'll figure it out. Like, call your database, for God's sake. Do something positive. So I don't believe in bad days, because losing my sister at 15 was a bad day. So I think I'm blessed that I have perspective of what it feels like to really suffer and struggle financially within our family. And somebody once asked me on another podcast, do you have to suffer to succeed? And I thought long and hard about it. And I think the answer is no, because I know a lot of people that are successful that didn't suffer. But I do think you have to sacrifice something. Now, me, I sacrificed and I suffered because I had no choice. I sacrificed a lot of my youth partying because I had to help my family financially. So I think that's where my relentless pursuit comes from, because I know that there could maybe not be a tomorrow. Like I have young agents on my team and I'm like, did you do this? No, why not? I'll do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. That's just my mindset. Do it now. Why would you put off tomorrow what you can do now? And people say to me, you're too intense. No, I just know the value of time and money in life. You know what I'm saying? Every second matters. And the unfortunate thing is, Trevor, most people realize that until something bad happens in their life. And that's the real thing that sucks. And I really hope that bad things don't happen to people, but let's be honest, it's life. And I don't want to say bad things happen because everything is perspective, but you know what I mean? Someone getting sick in your family isn't great. Someone passing away is hard. These are real struggles that people go through. So I think I'm blessed that all that shit happened to me when I was so much younger because I got through it. So a real estate downturn is a joke to me. That's just opportunity everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, and people use this idea of a bad day or a bad scenario as a crutch. You ever heard the story of the boy and the horse in the village? I can say it real short in like 10 sentences. Yeah. The idea behind it anyways is dad buys a boy a horse. Everybody in the village goes, oh, wow, that's fantastic. The old man goes, we'll see. Next day, boy gets kicked off the horse, breaks his leg. Everybody in the village goes, oh, that's terrible. Old man says, we'll see. Next day, the army comes. Everybody's going to war. Everybody gets drafted. Little boy doesn't get drafted because he has a broken leg. Everybody goes, oh, that's incredible. Old man says, we'll see. The idea is basically you can't tell if you're having a bad day or a good day unless you know the future. You have no idea what the outcome is going to be. It's just kind of basically take everything as it is what it is. Attack whatever you're having to attack head on and just face it because you have no idea whether what you're facing is going to be good or bad.
I love that, man. That's a great analogy. And I agree wholeheartedly. I don't see things as good or bad. I think that you can take what you want out of every scenario. And it's just perspective. Anybody who I think lacks motivation or direction or drive lacks perspective. It's probably because they have a plan B. I had no plan B. I didn't have rich daddy. I didn't have money. I didn't have, like, when you have no plan B, what are your options? Succeed or you're homeless.
Yep.
Or whereas I've mentored a lot of agents. Do you live at home? Yes. Do your parents do your laundry? Yes. Do they feed you? Yeah. Okay, well, move out. You know, like create some urgency. Otherwise, you're complacent. So I think I'm blessed, man, that I was thrown into that wildfire when I was young because I was blessed enough to be able to take it on, take care of my family financially, and do all these amazing things for my mom and my family and everything. And I think when you apply that to an industry like real estate where there's no glass ceiling, perfect storm for success, right? Because there's other agents who are like, well, I'm turning off my phone at 5 o'clock. Well, when I started, there was no off button.
Yeah.
Don't forget, that's a long time ago. If you kill it in this industry for 3 to 5 years, you're set for life. You are set for life. 3 to 5 years, make some sacrifices. That's what I said. Sacrifice. You might not be super dad. You might have to go to your wife and say, listen to me. Do you want me to change diapers or do you want me to make $1 million? Yeah. I can do both, but I'm not going to be, something will suffer. Either the diaper won't fit so well or I won't make the money. And I had a conversation with my wife and I said, what do you want? Do you want me to stay home or do you want me to go kill it? She goes, no, you go kill it. I'll stay home with the kids. When they get older, I want you to help more. I said, no problem. That was a deal that we made. And I sound like I wasn't there ever, but you know what I mean? I was working late hours. And when they were 1, 2, 3 years old, they're breastfeeding, they're walking around. They don't need dad as much. So that was the deal we had. Again, to each their own. I have a lot of friends who said the opposite to me. They said they wanted to spend those first 2, 3 years with their kids more so and change the diapers and bottle feed. I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't do a lot of that.
Yep.
I was busy building what I built.
Yep.
And now, it was by design and it worked. And now I spend a lot of time with the kids and the boy and the wife and the family and all that. And it's good, right? So you have to figure out what it is you want. But I don't believe in balance if you want to achieve superstar level. Like if you want to make over $1 million a year, balance is a fallacy. I think that you've got to kill it for 3 to 5 years. Then you'll find balance because you have the money to put in the systems that can find you the balance. But when you're alone, solo, no assistant, you got to kill it, bro.
Oh yeah. And that's just it. You've got to be willing to put in that hard work.
Yeah. I love it.
How do you stay hungry after reaching so many milestones?
There's always another level, man. I was in Florida, I told you last week, and I saw these houses. I want to live here, but I'm like, I can't really afford it yet. But I'm like, screw that. Yes, I can. I'm like, okay, I got this many more deals. I also want to see what I'm made of. Like, dude,
elaborate.
I squeeze the shit out of my days, man. You'll never find me and be like, what is he doing? You'll never find me on screwing around. Like, I squeeze the shit out of my days. When I go home, I do the work of 10 people, right? I squeeze the shit out of my days. So when I'm an old man, a lot of different people have said this, and I've read it in books, and it just came to me on my own, but I also validated it through like Ed Milet and other people that have written up on this topic. my biggest fear, or my biggest fear is growing old and not realizing my fullest potential. I was always that guy growing up that I would rather get rejected and ask the girl out than wonder if that was like the love of my life or whatever. Like, for me not to go up to somebody in a business setting and shake their hand because I was shy, that doesn't exist for me. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not happening. I'd rather go up and look like an idiot and fall flat on my face. So my biggest fear is not realizing my fullest potential. So I don't think that I've realized it yet.
Cool.
And I feel like there's a lot more room to grow because I've seen it. And again, it's not about this. It's not about the money, but it's about what the money can do.
Yeah. Thank you. Well said.
So, like, for example, my dad's in a nursing home. He could be in a better nursing home. Does that make sense? Like my mom, I bought her a house, but I'd like to buy her a house in Greece so she can go visit her family. Like, my kids are in private school. What if my son, they're in high school now, the older one. What if he gets the grades to go to Princeton or Harvard? What am I going to say? Sorry, I can't afford it. And again, that was the reality for me. I'm in Ottawa. I accepted to Queens. My mom couldn't afford it, so I didn't go to Queens. I went to Carleton, where I lived, because that was our financial situation. You do what you can. But isn't it my job, being born in Canada from immigrant parents, to do better than what my parents did? Isn't that the whole idea of your kids, so they can do better than you? So I feel like it's my responsibility as a father, and an insult to my parents for giving up their life in Greece and coming here and not squeezing the shit out of my days and really seeing what I can do. Bro, there's millions, I'd say billions of people on this planet that would die to be in our shoes. And every day I think of that when I feel like I don't want to make the next call, or it's snowing and I don't want to go prospecting or whatever. I'm like, how many people on this planet would like to be in my shoes, driving my car, wearing the clothes that I wear, eating the food that I eat, knowing that if I make a sale, I make $5, $10, $15, $20,000. Like, and I'm lazy. Come on. Like, there's people out there that don't have food to eat. So again, just comes back to being blessed and having that perspective from being a kid and not knowing if we'd have the hydro bill paid the next day. Because I had, like, my dad was gambling and we just he wasn't a good money manager. They always made money to spend, to pay the bills and put food on the table, but we didn't have extra shit. So like, you know what I mean? Like, we had one bath, everybody fought for it. So it wasn't fancy. So
I've got a similar story, man. We grew up not financially set, let's say. I remember one Christmas, mom had spent all night wrapping up empty cereal boxes, granola bar boxes, taco shell boxes, Old El Paso. And inside those boxes, there was black and white printouts of all the gifts she had wished that she could have got us this year. Just couldn't make it happen right now, but we were told to keep those gifts as like coupons, and throughout the year we'd make it happen, right? And I was at an age where I understood why we were getting the black and white printouts for Christmas. I got that, but my little sister had no idea. I had to explain to her why Santa Claus's printer ran out of colored ink this year, and that's hard. It's hard, man. It's hard. And that is ingrained in my memory, as I promise you. And nothing against my mother. Goddamn, she made sure that there was shit under the tree. We woke up with presents to open. You know what I mean? Even though she didn't have anything to provide, we woke up with presents to open. So God bless her soul. But that's in my memory as like, my kids will never experience a Christmas like that, no matter what I have to do.
Yeah, I love that. My mom sounds like a really amazing lady. Yeah, man. I think that you need perspective. And when you have perspective, the why, I never needed no one ever had to tell me how to find my why. I didn't have to read a book to find my why. My why was, we got no money. And if you don't help the family, we're going to be broke. It was very easy for me. It wasn't like a choice. And I used to look at other kids my age when I was growing up, jealous of their parents that had money and they could be normal kids and not worry about money and not worry about hearing their parents fight every night about money. And like, it was just not my reality. My reality was very different. And I didn't know it. Like, I knew better when I started meeting like normal Canadian kids. And I'm like, okay, this is my reality. So I either choose to accept the responsibility and step up and help, or I can fuck off and go and do my own thing. That wasn't for me. I wanted to help my family. I wanted to step up because they're important to me. And I think that was the best character building exercise as a young man, is stepping up and helping your family. And I'm so proud of it. And I just think the best thing you can do for your kids is let them see you in action. So like, yeah, maybe I missed out on a couple of things the first 2-3 years, but they knew what I was doing. They saw me killing myself. They saw me hustling. They knew, they respected my hustle. And that's all I want, is my kids to know how hard dad worked. Yeah. And that he did it for them. And that's really important to me. This is the first watch I ever bought. when I made $1 million. And I always said, this is going to go to my oldest son on his wedding day. And if he can wear a family heirloom that dad wore closing deals, dad wore this watch, taking care of the family. And I thought he can pass it to his son and so on and so forth. And I always joke, I'm like, if he gets a divorce, I'm taking the watch back,
Yeah.
But, so everything I have is going to that. Everything. I don't give a shit about the material stuff. I buy it because I can, because it's fun, but it doesn't give me purpose or give me satisfaction. It's nice, but I don't need any of it. What's nice is knowing that I can take care of my kids and my family at a high level. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally, man. Totally. And especially like what you said, starting with nothing. I think that's so many people, again, use it as a crutch of I don't have the database, or I don't have the clientele, or I don't have this. I had this conversation when I was first getting started. And this was basically, I'm reiterating myself, crying and whining about how I didn't have the database, I didn't have the clientele, and I didn't know how to get started. And somebody had sat me down and basically told me, that makes you one of the most dangerous people on the planet, because that means you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If you're starting with nothing and you've got nowhere down, then there's only up to go. That makes you so dangerous, because people that have things to lose, they play different, right? They play a little bit more reserved. They're worried about the things that they've got to lose. Whereas if you've got nothing, go all in. What are you going to lose?
Think of Mike Tyson. Think of the fight that happened. Like, it was not the Mike Tyson that we knew, and he needed a paycheck. And I get it. He had to do what he had to do for his family. But dude, you look at him when he was younger, he wasn't doing it for the money. He was hungry. So
for sure,
I think that it's important to be also smart with your money, because let that be an example of somebody who was worth 400 million and then had to throw away his legacy to put a paycheck on the table to feed his family. Nothing more sad than that.
Yep.
And I see, and you can make that parallel in real estate. So like, I had a Lamborghini, I have a 911, I just bought a Cybertruck. I bought them all cash. I don't have debt. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of agents making the mistake of spending too fast, too much. Pay off your mortgage. Make sure you've always got a roof over your head. Take care of your family, then buy the toys. I see so many agents now with the Rolex before they've even closed a deal. I'm like, what are you doing? You haven't earned it, man. Like, you take that shit off. You haven't earned it. That's just my perspective. Sorry. I don't think you should be rewarding yourself before the results come in. That was just my philosophy, and I believe that's true for anybody. And I think when you start rewarding yourself preemptively, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it.
Exactly that. Look at it with a different perspective, right? I mean, everybody gets into the game and thinks that they need to be driving that Maserati, or they need to be driving that cool car, because that's what all the other top agents are doing. No, the top agents are driving those cars because they put in the work. They earned those cars.
Yeah, you've earned it. Exactly. Like, dude, I drove a piece of shit for a long time. It's not the car. It's not the car. Now, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with rewarding yourself. But again, as long as your bills are paid and your family's okay, and you've got like a year of reserves. You know how many agents I've met that have made $1 million a year that are on the hamster wheel and they have no reserves and they can't get off the hamster wheel? Like that's just not where I want to be. I'm 44. I'll be 45 in March. I don't want to be 50 and have to sell real estate. I want to do it because I want to.
Yeah.
So be smart with your money. Be careful.
I think that's a big one, man. I went through that eye-opening experience where in year 2, I made 200 grand, and I ended the year with I had 40 grand in the bank account. Thought that was pretty sweet. The next year I made 450 grand, and I still ended the year with 40 grand in the bank account. I had made over double what I made last year, but my financial status has not changed whatsoever. So that's why I was like, something went wrong here. Like, where's the misfire?
I get it. The first year we cracked a mill, my wife goes, "Where's the money?" I go, "Yeah." And then we're like, hold on. Okay, we ate at better restaurants. We went on a better trip. We would, like, when you go from 200 to 400, it doesn't drastically change your life. You've got a 3x to feel it, because what you do is you buy a little bit of a better car. You buy a little bit better stuff. It doesn't because there's taxes. It doesn't drastically change your life. You've got to go from like 200 to $1 million before you're like, oh, okay. And then when you're at $1 million, you start spending like you're making $2 million, you're done. So you got to be careful. And I see a lot of people do that. And I'm a really good salesman, Trevor.
Yep.
I've had years where I didn't make a lot of money because, as good as I am, I can't control who wins in the election, wars, global pandemics. I can control the controllables. So what I would say is, set a budget and stick to it, because there's going to be good days and bad days. And I don't give a shit how good you are. There's just some things that are out of our control.
Very well said, man. Very well said. To be honest, we've squeezed a little bit more out of this than I originally thought. We've got lots in here. As we squeeze the final minutes out of the podcast, anything you want to leave with the clients, or with the audience?
With the clients, give me a call if you want. With the audience, I would say spend a little bit of time researching about your internal thermostat and how that sets the expectations within your subconscious mind to live the life that you're living. I've done a lot of reading on it lately, and it's very fascinating. So basically what it means is you self-regulate yourself at the level you're at. So whatever level you're at, it's because you think that's what you deserve, and you get accustomed to it. So you just coast there, and you can, just like the thermostat in a room, if it gets too hot, you can cool it down or warm it up. Well, the premise is when things get too hot, your subconscious mind brings you down to where you feel you should be. So knowing that, it's very critical that we program our subconscious mind with thoughts and ideas that are making us uncomfortable to the next level. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time breaking through to the next level, because no matter what you put in your conscious mind, your subconscious mind will keep pulling you back to that kid from immigrant parents who didn't see a lot of things. And do you know what I'm saying? You need to break through the bullshit that you programmed in your mind, because at the end of the day, as human beings, we're programmed to avoid pain, suffering, and growth, because all those things hurt. We're programmed to be safe. That's thousands of years of evolution. I spent a lot of time researching it because I wanted to know, how do I get to the next level? Well, before we can figure the roadmap, we've got to figure out, why are we staying where we're staying? So for example, let's say you've got $1 million in the bank and you've never had that much money in your bank account, right? But you want to get to 2 million. But in your mind, you're so happy with $1 million, really. So you keep buying stuff to make sure, without even realizing it. And then all of a sudden your account goes from 1.5 down to 1. You're like, shit, why am I at $1 million? Because you don't even realize you programmed yourself to say, that's all I'm worth. Well, no, I have to start visualizing and seeing 10 million in my bank account. And maybe that's crazy, but it's not, because 20 years ago, if you asked me if I'd be driving Cybertrucks and Lambos and 911s, I'd say you're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But eventually I started realizing that what was possible for me. So if that's possible, why is 10 million not possible? Why is 100 million not possible? It's all possible. It's just, we have to believe it and understand that it's really important what you feed your mind when you wake up in the morning, in the middle of the day, before you go to bed, because subconsciously your brain is constantly working to pull you down to the level you're at. That's what I'd say. Read a lot more on that topic.
Man, well said. Find ways to get uncomfortable. Success is an uncomfortable process, guys. DK, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experiences with us today, man. Your insights into mindset growth and scaling are invaluable for agents at every stage. If I was a listener who was just totally inspired by what you had to say and wanted to learn more about Agent DK and the Agent DK team, what would be the best way for somebody to contact you?
I'm really good at Instagram. Like, if you just go to Agent DK and message me there, and I'm more than happy to connect with you on Insta.
Cool, man. So there it is. Don't be afraid to reach out. Agent DK would be more than happy to answer you guys' questions. DK and his entire team are total rock stars. Thanks again for joining us in another incredibly insightful conversation. Remember, guys, this is where our industry's top 1% are sharing actionable steps you can implement into your business today. Join us again next time for another Value Pack show.
Thanks for tuning in to Collaborate, where we're not just talking about success, we're building it. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and never miss out on the insights that could take your real estate career to the next level. And remember, this is a space for the elite. If you're ready to level up and become part of a global network of top performing agents, join us at the Global Group for exclusive tools, resources, and opportunities to collaborate with the best in the business. I'm Trevor Big, and remember, if you haven't been invited to this show yet, you need to grind harder, hustle smarter, and get those numbers up, because this is a space reserved for the elite.